Hello, hello. Welcome to another Gregtech New Horizons base tour. This time, I'm at the end of the EV age and just starting IV. So let's get into it. You may be able to see behind me, I did finally build my wizard tower. I took a little bit of a detour during EV and kind of went into some Thaumcraft stuff and a little bit of Botania. So we'll get into that in a bit. I think let's start with some of the rest of it first. Yeah, so we can start outside. I did end up actually creating the industrial farm finally. So I have this set up here. Right now I have it producing Reactoria, which produces, it's another ore processing crop. This one for some of the radioactive elements that go into reactors like thorium and uranium. They boost your yield of that. So this is one I actually just made, like very recently, producing some of that to process some of the new ores that I got from Mars, actually, Mars and Phobos. I made the tier 2 rocket here, and I just took a little trip to, to Mars and one of its moons, Phobos, to get some ores to kind of fully usher in IV. So that'll get me more access to tungsten. I was already sort of getting some tungstate from centrifuging the endstone lily dust that I'm growing over here already. And I have a lot of endstone lily dust, or endstone dust. But yeah, that will get us better access to it. Some other crops I set up, I have this thunderflower here, which boosts your yield on thorium in particular. Titania, which boosts your titanium yield. Bauxite already does that. The Boxia leaf already does that for bauxite, and Titania will do that too, but it also lets you boost some of the other moon ores you get, kind of that you find along with titanium, such as ilmenite, and then like neodymium and stuff like that, so it's nice to have this one too. And I just set up the Shelinium also, which is for boosting the tungsten ores. Um, so yeah, those are the main crop updates. Oh, Platina. I started growing this as well. This boosts your platinum yield. There's not an ore to boost for this one. Well, there is actually, but I don't have access to that. But what this does is you can sort of inject it into the platinum processing line and use that as your source of platinum. So I did set that up. We'll talk about that in a bit. I also started growing a little bit of this live root as well. This is mostly for Thaumcraft. The root gives you a pretty good source of Precantatio, that magic element there. It's one, well, the Arbor, which is kind of a throwaway, but the Precantatio it's hard to get kind of in stable amounts, so that was nice to have. Um, yeah, you also might notice I'm moving around super quickly and jumping super high. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to go into Thaumcraft, was to get access to these Boots of the Traveler, and I have them upgraded to Nanosuit Boots of the Traveler. So these things are great. They let me run super fast, jump super high. They're a lot of fun to move around in, so that was definitely good to get. Over here in the crop processing, I've done a little bit more. I'm also electrolyzing diamond dust now to produce carbon. We get carbon as a byproduct from lots of stuff, but it's nice to have just sort of a dedicated producer of it, so when we run out of that carbon from the byproducts, we can dip into this. And you get tons of carbon dust from diamond dust. It's one diamond dust produces a full stack, 64 of carbon dust, so that's super nice. I also set up this centrifuge for black granite. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm growing black granite now. And that centrifuges out into a couple of things. You get silicon dioxide and the biotite, and the biotite was really what I was after, because then when you electrolyze it, you're able to get fluorine out of it, which you need for mostly for Teflon. You need it to turn it into hydrofluoric acid to make Teflon. So I set up a passive production of that. I'll talk about in a little bit. So yeah, that's why I set this up. You also get a couple nice things. The potassium's not really useful right now. The magnesium is definitely useful for some stuff. Silicon as well is useful. The alumina is not super useful at the moment just because I have so much of it coming from lots of different things. Yeah, I have 205,000 alumina dust just sitting in this drawer. So yeah, I did that setup. The salty root was already had, and the chlorine electrolysis, that's all still the same. I did set up this extra chemical reactor here to make fertilizer from the phosphate and apatite that we were already getting from the Fertilia plant. We see we have no actual fertilizer, it's all being used. I still just have these same Fertilia fields out here. Um, so I wanted to make sure I had enough enhanced fertilizer on tap, ready to go, or enriched fertilizer it's called, for running the industrial farm and also for the regular farms. So I set up that chemical reactor. There's a level emitter here to turn on only when, yeah, I have below this amount of fertilizer. And so this is an AE2 thing. The main big thing of AE2, of EV, sorry, I probably should have talked about this sooner. One of the big benefits of AE2, of EV was getting access to AE2, which Applied Energistics 2, which, if you haven't heard of it, is essentially a mod that lets you link together all of your various processing components and do auto crafting and just manage all your storage digitally, which is super helpful. So let's talk about all of that. This is the hub area, mostly the same. I've cleaned up some of the stuff in here. I got rid of the drawer pillar. I just wasn't really using that thing. And now that we have AE2, we can store most things in drives. So yeah, this is sort of my main terminal hub area. We can see all my stuff. You see I've got all my liquids are sort of integrated in here, and then most of my storage as well, you can see. Some things I have a huge amount of, like redstone, 786,000 dust just sitting in there. And yeah, you can just see all of the items I have stored in here. And then I can do auto crafting. There's not much crafting right now. I have some tungsten steel being cooked up, which is a metal I will use a lot in the IV age. So that's exciting. Yeah, so let's get into this stuff. I tore out the LV machine lines and started my new EV machine line here. We can see some of that. I don't have that many EV machines. I honestly didn't need all that many of them for too much. Like, the HV machines are kind of fine for a lot of purposes. Some things specifically need the EV machine for the recipes, though. So I have an autoclave here, cutting machine, a whole bunch of assembly machines and different circuit numbers, and then also a mixer. And these are all, of course, plugged into AE2. I have the interfaces here, and then these are the recipes that they have configured. So when I order something to be crafted, you know, these specific things will be crafted in this machine, right? So yeah, also over here I just set up 2 powered spawners in capture mode to get some of the souls I need for some of this Ender IO stuff, particularly Enderman souls and zombie souls. So this should probably be moved somewhere else, in addition to the other Ender IO machines. There's a skeleton somewhere. So I'm going to move these somewhere else. This is all sort of temporary. These are my same MV extruders, which I've been using, and they're a little bit slow at this point. I finally, now that I'm in IV, well, I'm about to be IV, I'm going to have access to the extruder multi-block, this industrial extrusion machine. So super excited about that, and I'm going to take all these out and replace them with that big boy. So that'll be good. And then, yeah, my MV machine line I also still have here, but I don't really hardly ever use this stuff anymore, so I think I'm going to take it all down, and then I'll set up the IV machine line down here. Although I don't even know if I'll need that many IV single blocks, because I think most stuff can be done with multi-blocks now, so that'll be fun to see. Yeah, my chemical reactor. This is still my sort of universal chemical reactor. I use it just for general purpose stuff. I have this, of course, plugged into Applied Energistics 2, so I can make all these recipes, right? I can do something like, let's say I need to make molten epoxid, right? Which I need for some of the new circuit boards. I can just order that up, so let me order, say, 6,000 molten epoxid, and it will plan the recipe. This is everything that needs to be done to make it, and just hit start, and we can see its process here. We can see, well, I've been missing it, but there's, yep, oh, there's one just kicked on. Those various processing chains, a lot of them go through the chemical reactor. Yeah, it's making phenol and acetone right now. And I have these set up nicely, so I have these input separated hatches. Like, I have this input bus on circuit 1, and there's also an input hatch, a quadruple input hatch, colored blue. So, like, these are both colored blue. So it means they work together, and they won't interact with hatches that are colored a different color. So that way I'm able to set up different circuit numbers, right? So this is a circuit 4, this is this magenta, and then the hatch is, I can't access it because it's behind this interface, but it's also colored magenta. So that way, I think I have 4 different circuit numbers configured on the LCR here. We can go look. Yeah, I have LCR circuit 24, circuit 1, circuit 2, circuit 3, and circuit 4. Actually, it's 5 different circuit numbers, all on the same LCR without them interfering. Although the circuit 3, this one is a little bit annoying. I should make a note of it in there. It only takes in liquids. It will not accept items into it because I just didn't have the space for it and how I set this up over here. But yeah, basically how it works is I just put the dual interface, which sends out the items. I put that on the hatch, and then the fluids go out right into the hatch, and then I just have a conduit or something to move the items into the associated input bus. And that keeps everything nice and clean and separated. So, yeah, that's really handy to have. Yeah, we can talk about, let's see, some of the other AE2. I just set up the core of it, the controller and the crafting CPUs, right down underneath the hub here. I'm flying around with these maglev pylons. I can make the better ones in EV now, and those are a little bit nicer to work with. But yeah, these are my crafting CPUs. I started with just a couple here and sort of grew them out. I have these 4 are all the same. They're sort of like mid-sized ones, and then these recently I started making these bigger, heavier duty CPUs up here. They look smaller, but these are higher tier crafting storages, so they're actually much more capable than the ones below them. And then this is the main controller here. You can see I'm pretty much at the limit of it right about now. And yeah, and the way these work is you get 32 channels of output out of each face of it. And so these dense cables carry 32 channels. You can see coming off of this one, there are currently 9 being used. This one, there are 6. This one is, well, this is coming off, yeah, 22 from this one here, and then split off, there's 8 here. So in each device you attach to a cable will use 1 channel, pretty much. There are some devices that don't use channels, but pretty much everything uses 1 channel. So you need to manage that. And some of the way you get around it is by using P2P tunnels. So these P2P tunnels will basically act like basically will teleport something from one point to the other P2P endpoint on the network. So you can use that to transport channels. So basically what I do is I have this main spine going out with the 32 channels from this, and then it will carry 1 channel is being used right for the P2P here, and then you can just put an output P2P somewhere else and get access to a fresh 32 channels. So that way you can store, you can transmit 32 squared channels on 1 dense cable. So yeah, that's how I'm sending channels throughout most of the base. It was a little bit tricky at first because this stuff is kind of expensive to make when you first start doing it, so you just have to really kind of scrimp with your cables and the devices you make, but once you have a stable supply of titanium, that becomes a lot easier, so I guess I'll talk about that in a moment. These are my molecular assemblers, all my just kind of normal crafting recipes to be automated with AE2 are right here. Yeah, here's one of them, the molecular assembler, and then all these interfaces are crafting recipes kind of going around them, and they can all sort of share the same assembler. So yeah, that's all the main brain of the AE2 stuff. I think I'm probably going to set up like a dedicated room for the AE2 controller type of things. It's yeah, it's sort of outgrowing its place right here. This is just sort of a temporary little thing to get something set up. So yeah, we'll probably move this out pretty soon. But yeah, let's drop down below here. I'm finally using this basement space a little bit. See, it's still a little bit unfinished. Unfinished basement here, because I wasn't really doing much in there before, but I needed the space for some new stuff. So over here, I have the fully passive titanium production line, and it does the, this will process bauxite ore, doing the full bauxite slurry chain, to ultimately produce the titanium ingots. You can see it's being cooked in this blast furnace over here. And it also will process ilmenite ore in a chemical bath with sulfuric acid to do this recipe here to get more titanium from ilmenite. So this is all running. You make the sodium hydroxide with sodium and water in the chemical bath. You mix the sodium hydroxide with something with aluminum in it. I'm using sodalite here to get the sodium aluminate. You react that with water. You get aluminum hydroxide. You take quicklime. You get with doing calcite with carbon dioxide, or not with carbon dioxide. You just do calcite on its own. I think the carbon dioxide. I'm not sure how this got into the input, but it produces carbon dioxide, which you use in the chemical reactor with the bauxite slurry that you mix the sodium hydroxide and the quicklime with the purified bauxite and water. You get the bauxite slurry. You send it to a fluid heater. You heat it up, and then you send that all in with the carbon dioxide and the aluminum hydroxide, I think. Yeah, you send that in there. Yeah, see the aluminum hydroxide comes right in here. In the chemical reactor, you make the sluice juice, as well as some of these other byproducts. And then you further process that down into the rutile. You react the rutile with chlorine, or hydrochloric acid, rather, and you get titanium tetrachloride, which you throw into the blast furnace with some magnesium to get your hot titanium. And then the hot titanium is being cooled down in the universal vacuum freezer that's upstairs. So yeah, that's the fully passived titanium production line. And that's just been chugging away. It's mostly being supplied from the moon ores that I've got. So let's take a look. 4,000 titanium ingots I've currently got on hand. Yeah, let's see, bauxite. I just came back from the moon because I was doing space stuff. I was going to Mars, so I went and grabbed the miners from the moon. So there's a lot of bauxite ore to be processed, and also ilmenite. Yeah, 45,000 purified ilmenite ore to be processed down here. So yeah, that will keep us stocked on titanium for a while, I think. And I can also process those crop products directly into titanium to be consumed, but haven't really bothered doing that yet since I've got plenty of ore. And then over here, oh, sounds like there's a thunderstorm outside. I'm doing, this is the platinum line. This is producing me platinum. It's off right now. Yeah, I think that's just because we don't have a really great source of platinum. I'm not going to get into all the chemistry of this one like I did with the titanium, but there's a couple different processes here. You need ammonia, you mix that, there's like this aqua regia, you kind of do in a loop here. It gets consumed when you react it with the platinum metallic powder, or the platina leaf you can put in here, so I have that being sent in. And then, yeah, you recycle the aqua regia. And then you also get this byproduct here, this palladium-enriched ammonia, which you can use to extract other precious metals, but I haven't gotten into that yet, so I'm just storing them in super tanks for later. Yeah, let's see. And then power, I'm powering this thing. This is just a bunch of gas turbines that HV running off of benzene that I'm getting from whatchamacallit, from distilling naphtha, just sort of as one of the byproducts there. And that's been fine for this since it's not taking that much power and it doesn't like fully run all the time, but this is definitely not the most reliable source of power here. And I also don't want to use all my benzene, so I've tried, like, it's also configured, well, right now it's full. So yeah, this is AE2 is passively supplying everything I need to do the platinum line from this one interface here, which again, I kind of set this up when I was sort of more titanium poor, so I was like trying to really just cram everything into this one interface. But now, if I would set this up, I would use more different interfaces for different things. So yeah, but anyway, the benzene, I've tried, like, using other gases here, which also will just work in the gas turbine, but I think one of the first things I'm going to do in Ivy is set up a more dedicated, centralized power production. Yeah, here we can see one of those P2P tunnels from the controller coming out, right? So this is configured. It's the bauxite line plus the EV line. I also have it going upstairs. And it's only using 5 channels down here, but there's space for 32 to be used. Yeah, this one is being powered by a whole bunch of combustion generators. A whole lot of combustion generators. Just this one needs a lot of power. How many is this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, 12 plus 2 more, 14 combustion generators. So this one, it isn't using that much power most of the time, but when it all kicks on, it uses about that much. which it actually probably is close to doing right now. And yeah, that's just from the same fuel line I've had. I've had to upgrade the fuel production a couple of times, and I'm still not using the cetane boosted diesel, which would make this all more efficient. But I'll do that soon. And then I'm also going to use the large combustion engines, I think, in the centralized power area to burn that cetane boosted diesel. And then instead of piping the fluid everywhere and then having these individual generators on site, I'll just use the electricity, right, and run cables to do that instead. So, yeah. Down here, the clean room is pretty similar. I set up a couple more machines. It's a lot more crowded in here now. I also have EV power in here to run some of these, like the circuit assembler is EV, the cutting machine's EV. This is an EV assembler I just stuck on here, an EV laser engraver. So just some more machines in here. I'm gonna kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna make this bigger or move it or just kind of take all this down and reset it up to make use of my space more efficiently and get everything wired into AE2 a little bit better. So yeah, that's another project. Over here in the, I don't know what I call this area. I guess it's the ore processing area, but there's not really much ore processing happening. I set up a little bit more stuff. I set up the steam squasher here, plug that into AE2. This is essentially just a compressor. You can see it makes all the block recipes. It's a double stack, so the controller is flipped upside down and is wall sharing vertically with the bottom one, so it will basically have two at once there. I upgraded the steam fuser to the steel high pressure variant. I also set up the steam blender here, which I thought I was going to use for the advanced glue to make graphene, because it requires this, like, what is it called? Yeah, the advanced glue takes in these two fluids, the polyvinyl acetate and the methyl acetate. And I couldn't get access to the multi-block mixer. I think I have access to it now in Ivy, but I thought, like, it looks like you can use the steam blender here and take in two inputs, but it actually will not accept two fluid inputs, so this was kind of a waste of time setting this up. So that was kind of forewarning if anyone's thinking of that. Yeah, over here, I've changed this a little bit. You see I have a lot more chests now from all the various miners I've set up. I really need to set up like a fully automated ore processing chain here, so I can just dump in my ores and have them be processed appropriately, but haven't done that yet. I set up a multi-smelter here. This is basically just a big furnace, which is nice to have. It's really fast and can do lots of things in parallel. Also set up this large sifter here. Basically just a sifting machine, but a big multi-block version of it. This is pretty fast, can do lots of things in parallel. Good for processing like purified gem ores, and also some of the radioactive stuff, like the thorium. Do I have any thorium? Like, I got a lot of thorium, and then I used that. You can see I have a lot of thorium dust now, and you get radon. You get this radon 226 dust from sifting, and then you can electrolyze that into the gas radon once it decays. So let me do that. I have this set up, the radon 226. When it gets inserted into the network, there's this lead-lined box down here. You have to put the radon in here and let it decay, and then once it's decayed, you can electrolyze it. So I have it just the storage bus is on here, sending the radon 226 in, and then it decays. So yeah, that's what's going on down in here. Let's see. I guess let's go over to this area, this kind of further crop processing / passive automation area. Mostly the same. I upgraded these grinders to the high pressure steel variant, so they're twice as fast and also use twice as much steam. This is all the same. I got rid of the steam squasher. I moved it down into over there and just put some other stuff here. I'm automatically fluid extracting sand to make molten glass, just to kind of have a passive stock of that. A lot of recipes use it, so it's good to have. Same with the redstone, automatically fluid extracting it to be redstone. I only have this in a tiny tank for some reason. I don't know why. I should probably just make this a super tank. In fact, you know what? Why don't I do that right now? Yeah, there's no reason that this should be so small. Let's lock it. Yeah, perfect. Okay. And yeah, tin ingot, also getting molten tin. I'm using this molten tin for all the circuit recipes. You can use soldering alloy, which is 9 parts tin, 1 part antimony. You use half as much fluid that way, but I didn't really have a great source of antimony, and I have abundant tin passively from the ore berries, so I thought it'd be better to just use the tin, and then I have it all fluid extracted, just ready to go at a moment's notice, so I don't have to wait for it to extract when I actually do like a circuit recipe. So that's nice to have. I also have this single block compressors now doing marble and basalt to make the marble and the basalt that I use for building, right? So I have that here being auto chiseled. That's what the floors and the walls and the ceiling are made out of. That's good to have. This is the same. This is for steel and for aluminum. The steel should probably be turned back on. I had it off because I was out of iron and had too much steel, but now it's sort of the opposite. So, and yeah, looks like we're full on helium back here. This is centrifuging endstone dust to get the tungstate and platinum metallic powder, which is my original sort of seed source of platinum. But now I think the crops will be a better source of it. Yeah, let's turn these back on. Yeah, we see we're getting a little tungstate from that. And then you also get helium out of that, and a whole bunch of sand as byproduct. Yeah, this one's getting me platinum. So yeah, we'll let those run. I had this before, passively making redstone alloy, or not redstone alloy, red alloy, and bronze. Oh, hang on, let me clear my status effects from the holding the super tanks. Eat a Gaia wart real quick. I also have this one here now, smelting void metal nuggets into void metal ingots. This is a Thaumcraft thing. So I'm not growing the void metal plants passively yet. I'm thinking about maybe setting some up in sort of this passive oreberry field down here. But I just ran them a little bit in the industrial farm to bootstrap a little bit, and now I've got a decentish supply of it, and I needed some other stuff, so I'm not running it right now, but that's something to consider. And this forge hammer here being pretty loud. Let me turn these off. They're kind of annoying. I set up just a little passive cobbleworks down here. So I have the extra utilities transfer node on this lava water cobblestone thing here, and this just will passively produce cobblestone for me for free. So I have that being stored here, buffered for use. I have a furnace here, smelting that into smooth stone. A forge hammer, turning that cobble into gravel, and then another forge hammer turning the gravel into sand. And I set this up and then realized that, I probably don't actually need the sand production one because I'm getting so much passive byproduct sand from the endstone processing. But, it might as well have a dedicated source of it. So this is going to fill up a drawer with an X64 upgrade in it pretty soon. So I'll have just lots of sand available if I need it for anything. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the main Gregtech stuff inside the base here. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's some more stuff. This is all the same. I set up some more passive stuff here. This is my passive Teflon production. It makes it makes the tetrafluoroethylene in here, and then makes it into the polytetrafluoroethylene right here. And you can see that we have 256,000 roughly molten PTFE to use for whatever I need. And I have that being controlled by a level emitter. This is mostly to not burn through all of the fluorine. So right now it's turned off because we have above this amount with an AE2 level emitter. And this was one of the first sort of passive LCR setups I did here. If I set this up now, I think I could easily do it with just a single chemical reactor, but I wasn't as good as as I am now. It's like sharing the hatches and really squeezing out as much as you can from every single multi-block. So yeah, this could easily be done with just one chemical reactor, but I did it with two, and at least they're wall sharing, so we're not wasting too much of these chemically inert machine casings. Although these are pretty easy for me to make now, I don't really care about wasting them. I've got a whole bunch of PTFE stored right here, so not too much to worry about there. This is the oil production. This is mostly the same. I set up another little eye farm in here. This is just a small one running at MV to produce oil berries, just to supplement the source of them here because this was starting to also not keep up with the distilling that I'm doing. So this is just kind of running continuously to supplement, and we've got plenty of them stored up now. So that's no longer an issue. This diesel setup is still the same as it has been for a while. It's it's really been fine. I upgraded the distillery over there from HV to EV, and ever since doing that, I'm producing enough fuel that this super tank can just stay full of gas, and it's not really a problem. But I was a little bit worried about it, which is why I started doing the gas turbine thing in a couple of places like that passive plat line. So that's something to look at. I also have the single block distillery. This is making phenol right now, which I use for some chemical processes. I had this making toluene for a while, but then I had enough of that, so now it's making phenol. I should set up another distillation tower for the heavy fuel to get all the products, but I've got plenty of heavy fuel. That's not really my issue right now, so I don't really mind wasting it a little bit. And yeah, this is still making sulfuric acid. I have that stored here. I set up this little distillation tower just to make distilled water. I have that here. That's used for some stuff. Nice to just have a buffer of it ready to go. Over here, I set up some other just passive acid production. Hydrofluoric acid. I need this mostly just for the PTFE right now, but I think it will have a couple other uses down the line. I think for some of the crop processing, potentially. I think actually maybe the Boxia you use hydrofluoric acid with in the forge hammer. Or no, it's hydro... Yeah. If you want to get aluminum out of it, you use hydrochloric acid, and if you want bauxite out of it for titanium, you need hydrofluoric acid. So I did this a little bit just sort of on demand to get some more purified bauxite, but yeah, I don't need too much of that right now since I have so much ore. Nitric acid, I also have set up passive... Oh, it shut down. All right, let me turn that back on. And hydrochloric acid, which I get this also as a byproduct from a lot of stuff, the hydrochloric acid, but not enough to fully supply production, so I just have a dedicated producer of it. Over here in the oil processing, this is mostly the same. I'm desulfurizing a little bit more stuff now. I'm doing also the sulfuric gas, the naphthenic acid still don't do anything with. The naphtha comes in here. The sulfuric light fuel goes in there, and then the sulfuric heavy fuel still just goes out. But yeah, I unplugged this sulfuric gas here because I actually had a little bit of an issue where we ran out of this sulfuric gas, so I temporarily broke this. I think this is fine to reconnect now. Because yeah, I'm using this sulfuric gas as the power source for this distillation tower, and then also this other distillation tower, which this one is doing hydrocracked heavy fuel, I believe. I think it's lightly heavy cracked hydro fuel to produce more light fuel is what I needed it for mostly, because this is the problem I was having. I didn't have enough light fuel to keep up with the demands to make enough regular diesel, so I set up this hydrocracking of the heavy oil. So yeah, that also gets done in this oil cracker. It was a little bit of a trick to fit all the hatches I need to do both the naphtha cracking and the heavy oil, the heavy fuel cracking in there at once, but I managed to make it work. And yeah, so now this produces, some of those other hydrocarbons. Some of them are being stored in a super tank here, the butane and the naphtha. The rest get just sent back into the AE2 network, where they have storages like over here, right? Like ethane is one I get as a byproduct, and that just goes back into the ethane tank. And ethane is one I actually get a lot of, but you can see it's almost empty because I was using this as fuel for some of those gas turbines I had set up in a few places, like over at the I farm in the crops area. Yeah, this is a huge disaster down here, but I have these two gas turbines here. Right now I put in these super tanks manually over here full of propene and some butadiene here. Yeah, you can see this is configured to use ethane, but this actually ran out of ethane, so this is why I put these extra super tanks down here. And I got these super tanks from over by the distillation. When one of these products fills up, I'll just take one. Some of them I have set to void, but some of them I feel like are valuable, so I just let them fill up. This thing stops. I come over here and check it occasionally. and then I take that full super tank and move it over here. So I've got a full tank of naphthenic acid, propene, and toluene. And then I also had that butadiene and the propene were over here, and that's why there's these two missing slots. I moved them over there to power the industrial farm. So yeah, that's everything happening there. This is how I'm powering the AE2 network. It's just some combustion generators going into an energy acceptor. I was powering it with the propene from distillation here, which is why it sort of looks like this is plugged in and had gas turbines. But again, this is actually used for some chemical stuff, so I didn't want to use it just for power there. I did have an extra full tank of it, though, which is why I'm using it over in the iFarm. So yeah, I think that's about it for the main Gregtech stuff. Let's go on to talk about some of the Thaumcraft stuff now. You can see I moved my little baby Thaumcraft setup. I moved it out into the Grand Wizard Tower. So I guess let's sort of maybe take a look at it from outside first before we go down in there. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, I keep teasing this, but let's talk. I built this new area up here for processing as well. We should probably talk about first, and this does connect through into the Wizard Tower. These are just sort of I call them machine flowers. Just a bunch of automation with AE2. I have interfaces plugged into these things for various recipes. So I have a whole bunch of wire mills on the various circuit numbers for various kinds of wires. You know, the different sizes of wires, the fine wires. Bending machine, same thing. Although these are actually out of commission now because I built the industrial bending machine multi-block, which will do can have different hatches for all the different circuit numbers, so that kind of obsoletes the single blocks. And so just a bunch of assembly machines and different circuits. I got a bunch of mixers and different circuit numbers, fluid solidifiers, more wire mills back here. I built this latex. This is basically a cable coating machine. It does cable coating super efficiently, and you get some bonuses with it. I'm using styrene butadiene rubber for this. You have to use one of the more advanced rubbers, so there's a chemical process, and I just have a level maintainer making sure I have a stock of styrene butadiene rubber always. Yeah, this is the industrial precision lathe. It's the lathe multi-block as well. Kind of replaces the single block lathes. So don't actually use the lathe too much, but like for some of the AE2 stuff, you need like quartz rods, which you have to make in the lathe, which are really, really slow. So it's really nice to have this up to make that better for that. So yeah, let me see. I can make some like, let's see, quartz rod. I have a bunch, but let's make like 200 Certus quartz rods. And normally this would take like, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something with like single blocks. But we can see like, yeah, I think it's already done. Or yeah, each batch is like really, really quick. Just 6 seconds, and it's making half a stack each. So that's way better. Yeah, okay, for real this time. That's all the Gregtech stuff. Let's get into Thaumcraft. So yeah, I wanted to build like a cool wizard tower for this, and you can see this is sort of what I came up with. I think it's pretty cool. I'm envisioning sort of like you know how the Lich Towers in the Twilight Forest look? Sort of like that type of thing, where it's like a big tower with like branching out little things coming off of it. So right now I just have the main tower structure in this one little room attached to it, but I'm thinking I'm going to sort of expand it like that. You can see the free cam is sort of bugged. Like they have the what's it called? The niter floating as like lighting accents, and they kind of get like stuck over there. But yeah, this is the tower I came up with. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Pretty happy with. Oh, what did I just do? I changed my game mode to creative accidentally. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's the wizard tower. It connects through in here. And it also connects through to this crop processing area. I gotta be careful. I'm so fast with the Boots of the Traveler now. I can like fly off of this thing. But yeah, it connects through in here, and I haven't done too much sort of in the main shaft. Sort of, I imagine sort of as like a dungeon kind of down here. I built this extreme entity crusher. I was gonna use it to process wisps. You can see I set up all these drawers for all the various ethereal essences. But I realized that wisps spawn. Oh, hang on. It's gonna be a little hard to show this. Ethereal Essence. Yeah, you get it from a Wisp, but you can see here it always spawns Infernal. And when an Infernal spawns in the Extreme Entity Crusher multi-block here, it takes 8 times the power, and I am not able to supply the amount of power that this thing would need to do that, so I can't do it. Although maybe if I, well, because I used an EV hatch, and EV multiplied by 8, that makes it LUV, which I can't get to. But I'm wondering if I put on like a lower tier hatch, like an MV hatch or something, then maybe I'd be able to. I put in like just a skeleton spawner here to like test this, which is, yeah, I've got some bones and arrows, but haven't actually really used this for anything. So I'm gonna try with the lower tier hatch actually and see if I'm able to actually get wisp spawning that way. But yeah, anyway, there's not really a direct way to get up to this thing. I have the maglev pylon, so you can sort of fly, but you got to sort of like blink through the floor to get up, or just go to the travel anchor. But anyway, yeah, this is sort of the wizard workshop I have set up here. I've got my infusion altar, of course, and all my jars that I've been using to do infusion. I've got all the stuff done for the digital Essentia, so I can replace all this with the AE2 integrated digital Essentia, which will make this a little bit easier to work with. I got the V shrooms set up here when I need to get more V in my wand. I can, you know, just do like that, fill it up. It's nice to have. Replant those. And I've just started getting into this node stuff pretty recently. I've played Thaumcraft before, but I haven't really messed with this like node interaction stuff too much, so I'm sort of figuring out how this works. I have this one here set up connected to the V relays, so this is like the wand charger, right? I could just throw the wand in here. It's full now, but you can charge it up in there automatically, and then also plug it into AE2. So just sort of dipping my toe into that. I've got all the research set up. I built the auto research completer, but this thing eats nodes to run, and like so far I found it's not really worth it, because like the effort to go out and like find a node that's big enough to be useful in here, like it takes longer than just like, you know, doing the research yourself manually. So there's like some ways to like grow the nodes bigger, I think, which I don't exactly know how to do. Like I sort of do. Like this one I have feeding from this one right now, which, you know, it's a really slow process. So I think there's ways to like speed it up and do that better, but I don't really know how to exactly yet. But once I'm able to like grow a node really big, I think it'll be nice to just stick that in there and complete the researches automatically. And yeah, I'm doing some more processing here. I've got more jars. This is where I have my thaumatoriums to make the essentia that I use to fill the jars to do all the infusion stuff over there. Botania I'm doing right here. Just very basic stuff so far. I've got the mana pool and some endo flames. Just process some like blocks of charcoal to make mana for like a couple of things need, you know, Botania stuff. I haven't really gotten anything from it. It's mostly just like for Thaumcraft. I need like mana glass, or mana glass I use for some of the multi-blocks actually, but like a mana diamond or something. I think something needed. So I just did a little bit in there. And then I set up this passive living rock and living wood automation. This is the same thing I did in Divine Journey 2, and actually really like this little automation. So I don't know if I really need that much living rock and living wood, but I thought I'd set it up just because I knew how to do it, and it was kind of fun to do. And what it does is it's basically just passively taking in wood and stone from the main AE2 network, and I have a little subnet here. You can see this is the controller for the subnet with annihilation planes and formation planes to put the stone and the wood around the pure daisies, and then once they turn into living rock, like you see, I'll take some of it out, and it will automatically be destroyed and put into the drawer, and then more of it will be replaced, right? So if I do that, it should recognize, yeah, see, there they all go. The living rock gets sucked into the drawer, and then it's replaced with more vanilla stone, which will get turned into living rock. So yeah, that's a nice little automation. And yeah, I think that is just about it for the tour. This one a little bit longer, I think. There's a lot more stuff to talk about. Oh yeah, one thing too. I started dipping my toe into open computers a little bit, and this is a pretty cool mod. It lets you like build these computers with the various different parts and actually run programs on them to control stuff. So Haven't really done anything with it yet, just sort of got the computer set up, but like you can run this little like Lua REPL here, and you know, 4 plus 5 is 9, and 98 times 576 is 56,448, right? So you can write programs to like do whatever you want and control various machines and stuff. So I don't know. I've thought there's a lot of things I could do with it. I've thought about using it to like control some of the oil distillation, or maybe like the crop, the industrial farm. Because the thing with the industrial farm, I probably will set up more of them. But right now I just have the one. So when I want to grow one of these other crops faster, or it needs to be grown in the industrial farm, I just sort of manually switch it and switch out the crop and replace it with the other one, which works. But you know, I'm thinking maybe I could write a program or something to like, you know, set levels for what I want for all these things, and then one of them, when one of them gets low, like automatically switch the mode and extract the old crop and replace it with the new crop. Something like that could be kind of cool. Oh yeah, right here I should just briefly mention, I set up a little subnet for this crop area, so this is all, I have the crop storage and all the seeds in here on the subnet. So like titania, right? I've got the titania leaf, then also the blocks of titanium and the titania seeds. You know, these are the blocks that I use to grow the seeds. So I just have this all sectioned off into its own subnet. But I do have the main storage still accessible on the main net, so I can see all the titania, whatever, in here. I think I also forgot to mention down here, the EBF. I used to just have one single chemical reactor for processing the ores with their crop here. I replaced this with a big LCR, and you can see this is keeping in stock all of those different crops from up there, so then I can just drop in here the ore, and it will 4x it with its appropriate crop, which is nice to have. Also a little EV forge hammer down here. This is a recipe for making silver on demand. I can make bauxite on demand with that hydrofluoric acid mentioned a little bit before. This is, yeah, for when I need a little bit of extra titanium. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's pretty much everything. I'm ready to move on to IV. I've made some tungsten steel. I've actually got a good bit of it, as well as regular just tungsten. I think you're going to need graphene a little bit. I don't have too much of that, but I have some. So yeah, excited to get on into IV, make some of those big multi-blocks like the extruder, so I can finally get rid of all these single block MV extruders. These are a little bit painful at this point. And then also set up a dedicated power supply area. There's a bunch of different power options. There's nuclear reactors, which I've made some of the stuff for, right? I have got the reactor chambers, and now I've got these Reactoria crops, as well as the uranium I got from Mars, right? So here, like, I can demonstrate the sifter a little bit. I can take this over to sifting. Sift uranium. You do sift uranium. You definitely sift uraninite. This is kind of slow, actually, so I should set up a bigger input bus on this. But yeah, this is processing. Actually, let's configure this interface to just take uraninite. I have this processing the bombcraft ores automatically in here. I could set up like a stocking input bus on this as well. That's probably what I really should do. But yeah, anyway, now I'm just sort of rambling about whatever. Alright, that's about it for me. Yeah, this is my base tour, end of EV, going into IV. So hopefully another one sometime relatively soon. Alright, take care.